us a connection between a human being as a light and an embryo.
Human being as light and an embryo. So let us first of all go into a bit of study of what is embryology. When we talk about embryology, we study three main elements that make an embryo. So the first one is the ectoderm. The second layer that we talk about during embryo is the mesoderm. And then the third one is the endoderm. So ectoderm, mesoderm, endoderm. So the ectoderm actually is the one that forms certain parts of the cortex, inner outer parts of the brain. It makes the brain. It makes the pineal gland, which is one of the areas where we can talk about activation of the highest energy frequency of a human being. And it also makes the heart. That layer, which is the ectoderm, also makes bone marrow and the immune system. So it also makes the skin and a certain lens of your eyes. So what is very interesting to note here is that your skin, your eye, the lens of your eye, are all, and your heart, are made of the same material as your brain. That is what is very interesting to note. You know what it means? That your skin, which is the largest organ of the body, the skin is the largest organ of the body, it's not the heart, and next is the liver. So the skin is the largest organ of the body. It gets and coordinates, it's even on top of your brain. So it is responsible for getting information, keeping information, and sending out frequencies that are activated within from your highest frequency. Do you get what I'm trying to say? And this layer forms those parts within an embryo. Then another layer is the mesoderm, which is the next layer. The mesoderm, now this one, forms the tissue within organs, okay? And then the endoderm is the progenitor tissue that forms other organs of the body. Do you get what I'm trying to say? The progenitor tissue that forms other organs of the body is the endoderm. So we are looking at the three layers of the lining within. One lining is literally the brain, and which part of the brain connects to the pineal gland, which actually has the highest frequency that some people even refer to as the highest frequency that is part of creation. So when you're joining all these kinds of elements as energy and the embryo, you're looking at the fact that not just that, even when an embryo grows into a child, there is transmission of light through the skin and everything else, even communication of the plants, even if it is water. You're showering, and it is also energizing you with a frequency that goes right to the brain and activates it and comes back to the entire part of the body. This is why you can even have something as simple as a shower, and you feel energized, and you feel like you're feeling good, and your energy has come back to you. Also, the other thing to realize is this is why, if you are to understand, this is why a baby can feel when it comes out before it is even able to see. But it can be able to tell that this is my mother by mere touching them. And the baby, those first times, they are not even able to see, but they will know. If a person who is maybe a little bit not in a high vibration comes near a baby, you've noticed a baby will cry, and you say, even the baby knows. How did the baby know that this person is not really a good person? This is how the frequency happens within a body. And blind people, this is how a blind person is able to navigate through the world very clearly, because the mind, the lens of the eye, and the skin are connected. So even when you don't have the eyes, but there is the brain, and you have the activation of DNA, you will move throughout the world using your hands and just feeling things, around you. This is how blind people navigate, because there are still more other elements of sight that you can use besides the eye, which is the brain, and also which is the skin, on top. We really want to understand what constitutes a human being. And there was a theory that said, since we are an electric field as human beings, what constitutes us is electromagnetic waves. But when we come to understand electromagnetic wave and electro energy, which is electricity, we find that it cannot go through a human being and human tissue straight away. In fact, there are certain elements like silicon and germanium. In case it was to be the type that goes through a person, it would actually be toxic and dangerous to human life. So how is this energy within a human being? It actually goes in a human being in a way that it has to first pass through tissue. So the first layer of the tissue that forms your body is from plants. And we've already known that plants are DNA, they are light codes also. And DNA is all about transmission of light, and certain memories into your body. So these electromagnetic waves actually go through that tissue of the plant material which makes your body. And when they go through this plant material which makes your body, they have to be slowed down, and when they are slowed down, it means that energy kind of gets, the word, if I say rotten, would be a funny word, but if I use the word decay, would have to decay a little bit. And as it decays, it forms into something totally different, which slows down. And I can best reflect it in the shadow that you have, which is more or less becomes the shadow that you have. So the shadow that you have, what actually gives that electro wave that goes through the plant DNA substructure of your body and goes deep inside you, is the ether energy. Initially, the person who demystified the fact that we are electromagnetic waves had actually been Rudolf Steiner. He's a scientist. He said, no, a human being is not electromagnetic energy and electronic waves per se. And if a human being was to be this, then that means you would put your back in and they plug you in and you light up your entire house or apartment. And then he said, no, that is not the case. And even Nikola Tesla came and said, okay, energy does not flow through wires, it goes through substructures, and it's able, as it passes through, it slows down, it loses a lot of its strength and it slows down and becomes another form of energy. So he also came up and said, look, there is another type of energy, and this type of energy is called scalar energy. What actually, ether energy is the energy that energizes the slowed down electromagnetic waves within a body and gives you your life, the vibration that you actually see, which is on computers that goes tip, tip, tip. When someone is in hospital, it's trying to monitor these kinds of energy waves within your body as a human being. And then also, after ether energy, we have got the scalar energy. This about the 1930s. That is when Nikola Tesla said, you know what? There is another type of energy which energizes the ether energy, which goes through the matter that becomes a little bit dense and forms a shadow more or less at your back that you see. Actually, your shadow is representative of the decayed energy, that comes out of you. And he said that other energy is called scalar energy. And so from scalar energy, now we look at different substances that we have scalar energy, we have ether energy, then we have this that goes through the substructure of your body that is coming from the energy of plants that you have. In other words, you get it as you're growing up and you give it back at the point of your death. And it goes back and also grows other plants. That is the holistic nature where everything is connected to the other of a human life and transmissions of light and rays within a body. So this is what exactly it is in as far as energies are concerned and what energies are making your body. But as we were still going through that, we realized that, okay, during these studies, the studies were all about what exactly also is scalar energy. So now we had to look at the subtle energies that make a human being. Subtle energies are energies that go next to you and you may not even feel that they are there, but they are there. Subtle means they are almost not physically felt, but they are there, and it doesn't mean that they are weak. They are so smooth that they go through your life in such a smooth way without even any effort. And these energies are known as subtle energies. These subtle energies, there was a scholar, he was called Louis Terrine. Louis Terrine came up with a pendulum system. A pendulum is something that looks like this. A pendulum the minute you would roll it in one direction, it would indicate their energies in that particular direction. If you turned it this way, it would vibrate in terms of energies in that direction. If you turned it this other side, it would also get the vibrations on that side. So with terrain, Louis Terrain, we get to learn that, you know what, there are different energies all around. And so they came up with a scale of colors. And they could be able to detect that with this pendulum method, according to the pendulum, you could even detect the shape of a pathogen in the blood of somebody, like the shape of an amoeba. They could say a pathogen of Fabiolopsis busci, the Erythrema pancreaticum. These are all pathogens, you know, that are within a human blood when they're detecting diseases. And this is how today, when they form that scale, that is the scale they use mostly in hospitals. Today you find the HIV kit. Most people, if you've been and you've undergone an HIV test or escorted someone for an HIV test, you see there is more or less a stain in color. And if someone is positive, that color shows up on the other side. That is a form of vibration, and it is the technology we are using today to even detect the kinds of diseases that are within a place. Now on this scale of colors that Terrain came up with, you can see there is something they call negative green. Negative green now was seen to be the purging energy of the body. It cleanses, it cleanses organs, it re-energizes them, it cleanses blood, and it helps it move and gives energy force to all organs. And you find that when it does that, there is a high vibration that is coming in, and this negative green had another color within it, which was like yellowish or golden. And then this particular color, yellowish or golden, is the color more or less which you would say is more or less a color of life, the actual vibration of life. But we did not get it with all the other methods. You know what makes a human being? We started with a plant and DNA, which is the submatter. Then we went to electromagnetic waves that pass through this plant substructure, and then up to the time when they form a shadow. And then now we have these subtle energies, you know. And then these subtle energies, as they are what we are using today to even determine and say, you have this pathogen in your body, you have this disease, you have HIV, you're pregnant or you're not, even if that is the kind and method that we are using today. So do not be lied to that the whole world does not know that you're actually energy and you're vibrating force. It does. And this is the basis of even the medical field and everything else that is around us. And technology has always been anything that understands vibration and energies with this kind of understanding at that level, that it forms experiments and then gets a product out of understanding that it incorporates into our everyday life, and that becomes a marketable procedure within our society and our everyday lives and the world that we live in today. So that is to understand what exactly are you made of as a human being. So at least before you give away anything that you are, get to know, what does this affect me as an energy field? Because if you think you're this meat soup, no, you're not. You know, you're an energy field. And this is what exactly makes you. In a much dense form, you've seen engines or windmills, you know, that go round and round. In a much dense form, like you find petroleum and all that, that is the kind of energy that actually fires up engines. In the most dense form, below this form of a human being of energy that we are really talking about. So I hope this time you get to know who you are, what you're made of as a human being. You're an energy field, and these are the energy forces that actually make you who you are today.
What is our greatest weakness as a human race, in your view?
I think our greatest weakness as a human being, in my view, not knowing our true power and who we are. Because everything else has been teaching us about how things should be perceived as, not giving us perspective of what exactly are the different perspectives that make this life, this world, and a human being. So we are looking at life, but through a small pigeonhole, and we are not able to see the entire picture. And I think that is the biggest weakness of the human race today.